You're now tuned in to the host of the most Big Surfgod. This is the Big Surfgod Show, episode 3. Today, we will be doing reactions to different Tupac stories from various people and diving into the murder case and a little bit more. Let's go. We're going to start it off with Tupac's pen pal from prison. Shocking letters he wrote to her and kissing Tupac on a prison visit. Let's go.
Book Inside a Thug's Heart, which happens to be one of my favorite books of all time. It's definitely one of my old faithfuls. Ms. Angela, thank you so much for deciding to come out today and just, dedicating your time to talk about the book that keeps on giving.
Say you got me outside. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited about this interview.
Me too.
So today I wanted to get started with, of course, your childhood. Tell us a little bit about Angela as a child and what was life like growing up in Detroit?
Well, I didn't grow up in Detroit. I grew up in Grand Rapids. So I was born in Detroit and raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It was, nothing really to tell on in that respect. Writing came to me through diaries. My mother got me my first diary when I was 7. We used to read all the time, or were required to read all the time. So that propelled me to write a little bit. I started with short stories and poetry and diary writing, which was more story, but that was like, your day to day. And then it just kept snowballing, and the short stories became full stories, became little bitty, children's books and stuff like that. So I've been writing for a pretty long time. And Grand Rapids was okay. I'm not mad at Michigan. It was all right.
All right. So jumping right into this amazing book right here, Inside a Thug's Heart. I kind of wanted to start with the last part first.
Okay.
And kind of get into how the book came about and like when you actually decided to turn these letters into a physical book.
So I was in California. A business partner of mine came over, and he was a business partner now. He was a friend then, came over, and we were on my back porch talking about poetry for some reason. I don't know why. And I said, do you want to read a poem by Tupac that Tupac wrote me? He said, what do you mean? I said, I have some poetry that Tupac wrote me. He said, he wrote you poetry? I said, yeah, he wrote me some letters. He said, yeah. So then I let him read the letters. I let him read a few of them. And he said, you should make this a book. I was like, no, not going to do it, sir. It's Tupac. You can't just you can't just do that. He was like, well, just put the letters out and just let people read it. I said, nope, that's a pamphlet. And you can't do that either. That's just, And he said, these letters need to be seen by somebody. Like, I think his fan base would love these letters. And I was like, I got to figure out how to do that. I wouldn't just put the letters out. And so it took me maybe, I don't know, about a month or so, a couple months to say, well, maybe I could just tell the story of how it happened, because that was crazy enough. And so I started writing it. It took me 4 months to write the story and 4 years for it to come out. Because I almost, honestly, in all actuality, I almost threw away the letters, and my mother told me to keep them. When I moved to California from Georgia, I almost threw the letters away, and that would have been catastrophic.
Well, okay, so we'll get into why you almost threw the letters out, but going back to why you were apprehensive about putting it out in the first place, when he told you initially, he gave you the idea and said, hey, you should turn this into a book. And you were like, no, this is Tupac. You can't just.
Because I think during that time, there was a lot of books coming out, celebrity books coming out. And they were just like I don't want to name any names, but they were just like books, telltale books. And I don't want a telltale book. I wanted a story if it was going to be a story. I didn't want to just put the letters out to say, hey, look what I got, some letters from Tupac, go buy it. You know what I mean? That didn't make sense to me either. And it wouldn't have been a thick enough situation anyway. And two, I didn't want that perception, of of a money grab type situation, because it wasn't that either. You know what I mean? So when I came up with possibly just telling the story of how it happened, which was crazy as it was. When you read the book, you know how crazy it was. But it was so happenstance so that I thought people might be interested in it. And once I finished writing it and reread it to myself, I was like, you know what? That's not too bad. I could put that out. I'm okay with that. Even though I was terrified. I was terrified. When that book came out, I was terrified. I was under the covers in North Carolina the morning that book came out. Scared.
Why?
Because you didn't know what people were going to say. I mean, thank God we didn't have social media at the time, but it was on a radio station. It was everywhere at that moment when it hit. I was terrified because I didn't know what people were going to think or say. But the reception was beautiful. It was beautiful. I guess you always imagine the worst before you can even imagine that it would be well received, and it has been very well received.
Okay, so what was it like dealing with the legalities of turning the letters into a book?
It was a great learning process. Me and my attorney, I swear, we went back and forth with the estate's attorney for years. I mean, it was about a year and a half, and it got to a place where I had rewritten the contract. I was like, let me just rewrite it. That's how involved I was that I could rewrite a contract. So now I'm really good at contracts, which is great. That's a lesson that I learned inside of that situation. But I got to a place where I was just like, this book can never come out. I don't care anymore. I said, get me a meeting with the attorney, and then we can sit down and figure out what it is. Because we were stuck on one little paragraph. It was one paragraph. And then they wanted me to turn over the entire book, the letters, everything. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I don't know you from Adam. You could just put it out. Now it's over. It doesn't, you can PDF it and then now it's out. I wasn't going to do that. And so he got me a meeting, and I remember Dina LaPote was there, and Carolyn Ali. Well, Dina LaPote was their attorney, but Carolyn Ali was there as the representative for the estate. And I was like, she can read the book. I'll come to her. I will adjust my schedule and come to her every day, And they were like, well, how long will that take? I said, how fast does she read? I don't know. However long it takes, I don't care. Because it didn't matter at that point. I was done. I was over it. It'd been too long. It was too easy. It took 4 months to write. And I'm like, why are we going through all of this over a paragraph? So then let her read it. See what it is. You're worried about what it is. So see what it is. If it's something that you're interested in, then we can move forward. Otherwise, forget it. You know what I'm saying? But they were just as intrigued, I guess, as I was. And so I would go to Interscope every day. I met a lot of people at Interscope that were dope. And in the process of her reading the book, and then me and her became friends. She loved the book. She gave it the green light to Afeni. Afeni, she had already read like 3 or 4 chapters of it anyway. And Afeni gave the book her blessing. And so that's how this book came to be. Without her blessing, it wouldn't have happened.
Now, how did Afeni get the initial 3 chapters that you said she read prior to reading the entire book?
The gentleman who asked me to do the book, who thought that I should put that book out, he crashed a party that she was at in Atlanta. And he took 3 chapters of the book to that party and gave it to her. And then I think he was between her and Glow, which is her sister. And that's how this book happened. He crashed the party.
So based off of what I'm hearing, I understand that it had to go through the lawyers before Afeni gave the green light. Who was like really in charge of saying yes or no to this book actually coming out? Because I always thought that Afeni was the head of his estate at the time.
Afeni was the head of the estate, and it was up to her because she owned everything that Tupac authored. And he authored the letters. So I own the letters outright. I could sell the letters if I want to sell the letters to collectors or whatever like that, but I can't use them commercially without the estate's permission because she owns everything he authored. In my mind, I'm thinking that I own these letters and he sent them in the mail via, federal mail. So therefore it's mine, and it's not. It doesn't even work like that. And I didn't find that out till I was done writing the book. That was a bad day for me. Oh yeah. You can't do that. So if I wrote you a whole bunch of...
he's a public figure?
No, just period. Period. You are not allowed. If I wrote you a letter and you published it without my permission, I could sue you. Who knew?
Wow.
I know. I didn't know either. Blew my mind. Has nothing to do with him being a public figure.
Because I would have thought that if you write me, like, say you write me a poem, right?
Mhm.
It's now mine.
It is yours.
Which means that
you could sell
I
it.
can do what I want to do.
You could sell it, but you can't make money off my poem. I own that. I authored that poem.
What would be the difference? What would be the difference in selling it and me making money off your poem?
Because this commercial, you put it up like on Amazon, and so the whole world can have it. If I sold it to a collector, he can't do anything with it but have it. He could put it on his wall. You know what I'm saying? He could put all the letters and poetry on his wall. He's not making any money off of those letters. He owns them. That's it. If he tried to do anything else with those letters commercially, like NFTing them and all that kind, you have to have permission from the estate. So even if I sold it, then now he has to go through the estate to figure it out. I know it's crazy. And then come back to me because now you have my stuff in there also. So it's a double situation. Crazy. I know. I was floored also. Floored. I look just like you.
That's definitely insane.
Right.
That's insane.
I know.
Because again, like, he's writing you all these letters and these are essentially your poems. So I think that the learning lesson in this for the viewer would be that you don't really own it, even though somebody wrote it for you. It was intended for you and it's technically yours.
Right.
It doesn't give you free reign to do whatever you want to do with it.
Correct. Because I have letters that boyfriends and friends in high school and elementary school wrote me a long time ago. I still have all that stuff. And they would floor these guys that I still have all the stuff. And I thought about putting it in a book, Love Letters to Angela, something like that, or Letters Over My Life, or trying to put something together like that. But then I was like, I need everybody's permission. And then you have to do contracts with everybody because everybody's going to want to cut. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot. It's a lot to think about. No, you cannot do whatever you want to do with somebody else's writing to you. I thought you could. Absolutely. And so that's what took so long.
I thought you could too.
I know, no. They could actually sue you. Most people don't realize that. So if you did do it with somebody, they probably wouldn't think anything of it. They probably would be happy that you put it in a book somewhere and said nice things about it.
I feel like she's dragging this on for a long time. She hasn't said one thing that she talked about with Tupac, how she met Tupac, nothing. I see she trying to sell her book, and I understand. But get to the nitty gritty, lady.
But no, technically they could sue you because you don't own that. You own the actual letter. You can sell it to somebody if somebody wanted it, but you couldn't commercially set it out there and put it on in books and magazines and articles and all that. You can't do that.
What about a website? Because I definitely have like some love letters that I wanted to publish on my own website.
I think if you monetize off of it, it becomes a problem.
This is how you know these ladies are some OGs, like love letters. Your love is one in a million. That's back in them days. I'm writing you a 4-page letter. One of them songs, I don't know how that shit goes on. But damn, like, y'all got letters and all this, like, see, this new generation don't even love like that. A letter, like, you lucky if you get a text message that's longer than a paragraph nowadays that tells you how much a woman loves you. Back in the day, let me make sure my mic is on and I'm just not just here popping it because y'all gotta hear this. Back in the day, women would write men 7-page letters explaining everything they feel. Nowadays, you might get a DM, you might not. Like, it's a different day and time. Like, this is how far we went away from what matters into bullshit. Because that's crazy. Like, she told me, I got 4 dudes who just loved me, who we just wrote each other letters. And, man, when they do this, they still do this shit? I guess if you're in jail, you might get some letters. But I don't know how this goes. Like, I'm trying to think of a good text message. Like, It's just a real deep, good text message like "I love you so much" and "You make my day." I don't know if girls do that anymore. Maybe that's just me. I don't get them type of text messages, man. I don't know. But this is deep. You know what I'm saying? It's showcasing that if you get anything like other than the Tupac story and everything, if you're listening, you know, women back then was actually in love. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what it is now. The things I see on the internet, man, is not a good portrayal of what this is. But this is dope. Like, I'm gonna have to continue this interview. It's pretty long. Let's go.
Posting it and not monetizing is two different things. Because I've seen letters out there from him to people post. No, it's just sad. It was like sad but exciting that he did call and that he had gotten the letter, and that's what's up. That's our death date, the birth death date, and that was like, wow.
It's that was a real moment when it was almost, quite honestly for me, I think about it, it was almost the end of that whole story. It was almost the end of the story of Inside a Thug's Heart, right? Because now his passing, his death, actually put a period at the end of not only his life, but it put a period at the end of this book.
Okay, running it back to you missing Tupac's first call. Take me through the night he called you the second time and what you were doing the exact moment he called the second time.
What'd I say? What was the second time? The second time was when he was transferred and he had written my phone number on his arm. Is that the phone call?
The second time when you talked to him the first time, this would have been the first time you talking to him. So after you missed his call and he left the voicemail.
Oh, gotcha. I'm sorry.
The first night you get to talk to him, the first initial phone conversation.
I think that, well, I had either finished taking a shower or I was in the bath. I think I was taking a shower and he called. Now, again, I think I might have been on the phone with Dude at that time, but I don't know if I'm getting the calls mixed up, but it was one, I knew it was him. Not knew that it was him when he called, but knew when I heard his voice that it was him. It wasn't like I felt like it was a mistake, but I was shocked that I was home. I wasn't waiting for it. You know what I mean? But you know how, like, I had a dude tell me one time, he said, "Get your shoulders off your ears." You know how you talk like this? You're like, "Hey," that's what it sounded like. Because it felt new, but then it felt like I already knew him. Like it felt like I already knew him somehow. You know what I'm saying? But it was that feeling of giddiness and oh my God, but trying not to be like oh my God, and trying to stay cool and normal when you're not normal inside your body at all. You're like, everything about this situation is odd or surreal. I'm gonna say surreal more than odd. And he just sounded so sincere. Like it wasn't like it didn't sound gamey. It didn't sound pretentious. It didn't sound lackadaisical. It was like he truly was like, what's up? It's good to hear your voice. It's like, now I got a voice to put with, the letters and the smell and you sound so sweet. And it didn't sound like game. You know what I mean? It just, and still in awe that he called again. I mean, that's in awe that he called again. Because I'm still like, why? My letters couldn't have been that dope. It wasn't that dope of a letter. It was just the letter that you have. It wasn't that dope. But you called again. It's the surrealness of it is just forever surreal. Even when, like I said, when I read it back last night, it was the whole book is surreal.
So my thing is, did she ever get to meet Tupac in person? Or all she got was a kiss? Like, Tupac was a deep dude, man. That nigga's look at it. Even I don't know what age this woman is, but she's still good looking, bro. So you could tell back in the day she was a baddie.
I have not read that book in a very long time, and to read it back, it's crazy. It's crazy that happened. How it happened. Like we are walking through an entire relationship, connection, whatever, in one book. It's like The Notebook to me. It's almost like the movie The Notebook. That's what that felt like last night. I was emotional, and I was like, I was through. This was me. Like you said, this was me. But I'm like, I don't know. Surreal.
Did it feel good to relive those moments, or was it bittersweet?
Bittersweet, because so much has happened, and he's not here, and in my mind, I'm thinking of him like writing the letter. Like, where was he writing these letters, or where was he on the phone at? What was he doing? Was he just sitting there, just like, okay, let me call her again? Was he nervous to call? Like what were his emotions behind the situation? Like, that's where my brain went last night. It was kind of like,
to talk to. You was the right person to talk to.
Where was he at? Like, where was he at as a person for this to be what it was, and for his letters to be what they were? Because his letters were deep. I mean, it wasn't like, it didn't feel gamey. It didn't feel like a game. It felt like he was reaching out and like, I don't know. Surreal.
And what did he sound like? If you could describe what his voice sounded like without saying he sounded like Tupac, maybe like use an interview or something. How did his voice sound?
It sounded like he sounded on that interview he did. He has on a brown, I think it's a leather vest. I think it's a brown leather vest, but he's in the studio. And I think it's
Tabitha Soren?
I think so. I think it was MTV, right?
The white lady from MTV.
Mm-hmm. And he was in the studio. It was that calm. It was that quiet voice. It was that voice. She's
when he said, I think being humble is sexy.
Yes. Yeah.
Y'all better learn that calm Tupac voice.
Yeah.
That's how I pictured it.
Yeah. That's exactly the tone. That was a tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Melty. Very melty.
I used to.
Godly. What a dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Enjoy talking to me.
You like what?
Okay, so after the initial phone call, Pac writes you not once, not twice, but 3 times within the span of a week. Why do you think he was so anxious to get in contact with you after the initial phone call, or at least maintain contact with you?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And when me and you realized it was that many that fast, I don't know. Because he wasn't getting my letters. I do not know. And like he said in one of his letters, like, I feel like I know you. And I don't know why I miss you, but I wish you would write me. I don't know. It was a 2-second conversation. It wasn't even that long.
Yeah, because he wrote you March 2nd, he wrote you March 6th, and he wrote you March 10th.
Right. And he still hadn't received my letters. Because I was writing. I have no idea. Clearly he felt some kind of a connection. Something was connecting with him too. I couldn't, fate, destiny, kismet. I don't know. I I was frustrated as hell, though. I was so frustrated that he wasn't getting my letters, and he was gonna give up. And I thought that I had given up, or that I wasn't writing him that. And I'm losing my mind, and I'm telling Tan, I'm like, dude, he's not getting the letters. I couldn't even tell you why he kept writing. With all that mail in my mind, not that he wasn't writing 75,000 other people, but the letters he was writing to me, I don't know what that was. I don't know. And in hindsight, I don't know. Even in hindsight, I have no idea. I don't know. There's something that connected with him in something that was in the first letter or in the tone of the conversation, which was what you read. It wasn't too much more than what you read. What I have in that book on our phone conversations was as much as I could remember verbatim during that time that I wrote this book. You know what I mean? Because I wrote this book in 2002. And this all was like 1990 something, 95, 90-ish. But it wasn't anything deeper than that. It wasn't, I don't know.
Let's see. So in one of these letters, he wrote on March 6, 1995. He says in the letter, "Dearest Angela, it feels weird writing to you because I don't really know you that well, but to me it seems a friendship between the two of us started from out of this crazy situation could be real special. So if I'm writing you too much or I begin to get too personal, forgive me and let me know, and it will all cease. I hope you can appreciate my honesty. I hope you can feel my sincere effort to get to know you as a friend and see what grows from that. Is this too much to ask from you? I haven't received your second letter, but I hope to hear from you real soon. I have at least a year to do. So in this year, Angela, allow yourself to drop your inhibitions and come to me through the pages of your letters. Don't just write pleasant, polite things. Really reach out for me."
This happened like 20 years ago.
How did you feel when you read this in the letter? Were you kind of like spooked that he was so intense?
Nope, I wasn't spooked.
I
wasn't spooked at all. It was was no spookiness going on here. Yeah, no, it was like, oh,
this was dope.
You know what I mean? Like, so I always talk about him in regards to his eyes.
Energy.
And
it seemed like she really, appreciated Tupac reaching out to her or whatever they had going on. But young fellas, learn from Pop. Man, write these girls some deep text messages or something, man. Some good DMs or something, man. Tell them something they want to hear, man. Because obviously, whatever he told her in those poems or text messages, whatever they had going on, wasn't text messages back then. 4 or 5 page letters. I'm trying to tell y'all, this is different. 4 or 5 page letters is what they was writing each other back then, man. Wasn't no text messages and cell phones and all that shit. Man, they was thinking, what? You know how many times he probably wrote something and then read it and was like, nah, I ain't gonna send this. Bought it up and threw it in the trash. Man, to take your time out to write somebody a letter, man, that's deep thought. Like, I gotta start that. Like, while you dating a person, write each other letters every week about how you felt about that week or something like that. Could build something. We're gonna learn from this. We're gonna talk about this later. That was dope though. I mean, y'all remember the songs? I'm writing you a 4-page letter or something like that. It was 4 pages or 7 pages. I know it was one of them. But that's a lot of time and thought process and good penmanship and knowing how to spell and stuff like that. Like, ain't no spell check when you grab that pencil and that pen and put it to that notebook paper and get the, this is how I feel about you. Well, that's a lot of thought. I'm over here thinking like, man, ain't nobody doing that in 2025. Back in the 90s, you had real love going on because people were sitting there taking out their time, writing you 3-4 page letters and actually could spell. See, that's how you know you got one, because she gonna break it down and tell you everything about her week and things she wants you to know and everything she does. You in jail, so you being 100% sincere. That's why he was so sincere in the letters he was writing, because he in jail. He like, shit, ain't no lies here. But y'all gotta tap into the News You Can Use podcast, because this is amazing, man. We're gonna be doing a lot more reactions. Them 7 and 5 page letters go crazy. I'm about to let my boy D-Class jump in with me real quick, man. He gonna be my first guest on to the new show we got going on, the Big Surfgod Show. I just do reactions to a little bit of stuff. Kind of like what we do, but ours be like deeper into other things, you know what I'm saying? This is more light, you know what I'm saying? We talking about the 4 or 5 page letters. Woman writes you a letter longer than 2 pages, you really was on her mind, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm writing you a 4-page letter, and she says she gonna seal it with a kiss. That's a special woman there. That's a keeper. You hear me? That's a keeper right there. She writes you a 4-page letter, and then she seal it with a kiss. Better put a ring on her, man. The women from the 90s was different, man. I don't know, but these 2025, boy, they listen to too much of that Sexy Red. That Sexy Red guy was going crazy. They ain't write no 4-page letters or nothing. Well, you lucky if you get a text message, I'm trying to tell you. And the text message you get, you better pray to God and say something good. And they give you some inspiration and some positivity, you know what I'm saying? E-Class, I just hit you with the link, man. I see you in the comments. Oh, you're not at the crib. All right. Yeah, man, I'm just here chopping it up, man. I was reacting to a female that Tupac was pen pals with when he was in prison before he got out and signed to Death Row. And she could tell she was a beautiful woman back then. And she wrote a book and stuff, so it's pretty dope. I'm gonna check her out, finish watching a little bit of this.
Always said there was something behind his eyes to me that needed a hug. I always felt like he needed that was huggy stuff. That felt huggy to me. You know what I mean? Like if he could reach through, if I could reach through my phone or whatever, my letter, and give him a hug.
She said she could tell he needed a hug. He was talking that huggy stuff. I don't know what women see. Women, they be that huggy stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's how women look at you now. You be too nice, too soft. She think you on that huggy stuff. She wants you to act like, I don't know. You know, it's crazy.
Hug. That's a hug letter. He's asking me for something. I don't know why he's asking it of me. He could have been asking that of everybody. But for me, I didn't care about everybody else. I wasn't worried about everybody else. He sent that to me.
Producers, you've always wondered the secret.
All right, man. We're going to end it right there. We're going to do part 2 to this video later on tonight. You are tuned in to the Big Surfgod Show. And yeah, man, ladies, text your man a 4-page letter, like back in the day, and seal it with a kiss emoji. You know what I'm saying? Because we need that. We need to know how y'all feel about us. You know what I'm saying? My woman, in her own way, every day she tries to show how she feels about me. And sometimes I catch it, and sometimes it goes over my head. But today, oh man, you see him smiling, right? I was just talking shit. So I'm starting a new cooking show soon too. We will be doing that. Me and D Class, we got game for sale. We're gonna be doing a lot of different things, a lot of marketing, a lot of promotion. We'll be back doing interviews. The News You Can Use podcast 2.0. And we back. We're doing this daily. This is my third episode today. I did episode 1 this morning. I did episode 2 this evening. I did 2.5 earlier. Now I'm doing 3. I will be doing this every day. I will be tapped in. Y'all will be getting a lot more from me. We're gonna be tapping into a little bit of everything. You never know what you're gonna see on here. You never know what you're gonna get. But this is the News You Can Use podcast. Shout out my boy D Class. Go follow us on Instagram at I'm a Brand Podcast, at News You Can Use Podcast, at Trapflix News You Can Use Podcast. And go to the Trapflix News You Can Use page, YouTube page and show some love. And hit us up on TikTok, all platforms. We do have some podcasts on Apple Music, so you can listen to it while you're in your car. Go tap into that too. We will be putting out more of that. You're gonna get a lot from us. But that blew me how much it meant to her. Not only that it was Tupac, I think, but that a man, would sit there and write her letters and do this and do that. And I don't think people do that no more. I think that's like a forgotten sport right there. And it's not a sport. It could have all been sincere. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure people in jail, they write letters still, but they get free phone calls and they got cell phones. It's 2025. I don't think too many people are still writing deep letters to each other. So, if you got a significant other, send a paragraph text message about how you felt about your week with your man or your girl. Tell her like, you know what, thank you for, making me dinner all week. Doing this and doing that, I think we got to get back to that. And it's not like an emotional, I need a hug type thing. It's more of communication. Communication is everything. You know what I'm saying? And I'm out. That is the Surf God Show. Y'all always gonna get some game from me. Y'all know that.